And thank you. If a respected federal agency gets its way, when drivers tell officers they have only had a few drinks, it could still be enough for a DWI arrest.
This is making national news. A lot of people are talking about it. The National Transportation Safety Board is now recommending states lower the legal drinking limit from .08 to .05. The NTSB says that's because drivers start to lose control of their cognitive abilities at .05. But as you can imagine, not everyone agrees with this recommendation. The American Beverage Institute says it is too harsh, and many bars and restaurants, even ones here in Albuquerque, agree.
Most people would consider themselves going out to dinner and having a glass or two of wine to be perfectly fine and completely in control of their faculties. This law would say that legally you are not and that you're impaired.
Right now, the NTSB is just recommending that states change their laws. If the Federal Department of Transportation backs this idea, states could lose a lot of money for their highways if they don't fall in line with it. Bernalillo County Commissioners have passed a temporary fix to a decades-old problem with the jail. Right now, the MDC is about 350 inmates over capacity. Last night, commissioners approved part of a proposal that sets aside $613,700 for the next month and a half to ship inmates to other jails in New Mexico and Texas. They also passed a motion which calls for $6.8 million to be set aside for this for the next fiscal year. New this morning, the Defense Department is announcing plans to furlough nearly 700,000 of its civilian employees, including almost 7,000 right here in New Mexico. According to the Albuquerque Journal, civilian workers will be furloughed 11 days through the end of this fiscal year, including ones at Kirtland and Cannon Air Force bases and White Sands Missile Range. The article says that notices will begin to go out on May 28th, and workers will have several days to respond or appeal. The unpaid days off could start July 8th.
The man accused of stabbing 3 parishioners at an Albuquerque church is now charged with attempted murder. Cops say Lawrence Kapner jumped over the pews at St. Jude Thaddeus Church last month and started stabbing the choir director because he thought he was a Freemason. Kapner is accused of then stabbing 2 other men who tried to stop him. A grand jury has indicted him on the attempted murder charge on top of the 3 aggravated battery charges he was already facing.
Well, the man who admits he forced his way into an elderly woman's home and tried to smother her to death 2 years ago set to find out how long he'll spend in prison for it this morning. Philip Kosarukov pled guilty to aggravated battery and kidnapping last year. He was facing attempted murder charges. He admits to knocking on the door of this 70-year-old woman in Albuquerque back in 2011, forcing his way inside, then trying to smother her with a pillow there from the couch. She was able to fight him off and get away. Well, things are warming up here in the land of enchantment, that is for sure. And now the governor's office is warning you about the danger of leaving kids in hot cars. Since 1998, 9 children in New Mexico have died of heat stroke after being left in hot cars. That is what happened to a 2-year-old boy in Albuquerque last August. His aunt, Sandra Rodriguez Miramontes, forgot he was in her car and left him outside in the daycare where she worked. She is charged with child abuse resulting in death. And with temperatures reaching the 80s, cars can get very hot enough to kill a child in just 10 minutes now. Well, it looks like Valencia County is finally getting a hospital, and it's going in Los Lunas. The village's mayor, Robert Villalpando, is set to announce that at the county commission meeting tonight at 5 o'clock. Voters approved a tax to help pay for the hospital 7 years ago. Construction on it should start next summer, and it should be done by 2015. People there have waited decades to get their own hospital in Valencia County. All right, 5:35. Angelina Jolie, she made big news this week when she announced she had a double mastectomy because she carries a gene that makes her 87% more susceptible to getting breast cancer than normal.
Yeah, so the surgery cut her risk now down to 5%. Doctors are saying the procedure is definitely saving lives, but for some women, the thought of having such a drastic surgery is scary for a number of reasons.
You bet. And we caught up with one woman here in Albuquerque who has gone through the process and credits it with saving her life. News 13's David Romero is in the Newsplex with her story. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Matt. Well, Shauna Sanchez is a vibrant young woman, only 34 years old and on her 2nd bout with breast cancer. Doctors say the double mastectomy may be giving her a new lease on life.
3 years ago, Shauna Sanchez discovered a lump in her breast. Immediately went to doctors who diagnosed it as cancer. She went through chemo and had a lumpectomy, which removed the lump and took care of the cancer. Then in February, cancer showed up again, this time in her other breast.
I made my doctor a promise, last time for my first cancer. He's like, you don't have to do a mastectomy, but there's a good chance it could come back because I'm BRCA positive and that I have a cancer gene. And if it comes back, will you promise you'll do it? And I was like, yeah, we'll do it if it comes back, because I didn't think it would.
But it did. And doctors at Loveless Medical Center say because Shauna had a family history of cancer and tested positive for the BRCA gene, the double mastectomy has improved her chances to live.
The risk reduction is greater than 90% if you have this surgery.
According to recent studies, women who test positive for the BRCA mutation have up to a 50% risk of developing breast cancer by age 50 and a 64% chance of it turning into a second breast cancer. That was also the case in Shauna's family.
My mom's actually had breast cancer 3 times, and her third cancer, she was like, I'm just gonna take them both out. And when I saw her and how strong she is, I was like, I could do it. And you gotta have faith, you gotta pray. I mean, God will bring you through it.
Doctors say testing for the BRCA gene is a simple one and can be done through drawing blood or a cheek swab in the mouth. Either way, it is crucial.
If a patient has the genetic mutation, which places them at an 80% risk of getting a breast cancer, I would recommend that they get the preventive surgery.
Get it checked out. Get it checked out, and don't be scared. I mean, it's not a death sentence. You're gonna be okay. I mean, I'm fine. I feel good.
Shauna had her double mastectomy in March, and as you can see, she is feeling pretty strong just a short 2 months later, and she is planning on having that reconstructive surgery here in the coming months. Matt, back to you.
All right, thank you for sharing, David. Glad to see that she is doing fairly well. The BRCA1 gene not only tells women if they are susceptible to breast cancer, but ovarian cancer as well. And as an alternative to the mastectomy, women can also get drug therapy, but studies show the mastectomy significantly reduces their overall risk much more.
Yeah, it's just amazing that the testing can actually figure out what your chances are of getting cancer these days.
Absolutely. And it costs about $3,000
Yeah.
without insurance to go and have that genetic testing done. But as you saw with Angelina Jolie, it can very well save someone's life.
Yeah, and congratulations to Shauna. She looks great. She has such a great attitude. I love that.
All right, 5:38.